Every man thinks he knows what women fantasize about. Romantic dates, sweet kisses, flowers scattered on the bed. But what if I told you that's not even close to the truth? Because what really runs through her mind, late at night, is far darker, far more primal, and far more dangerous than she ever admit. She won't say it out loud. She won't even whisper it to her closest friend. But deep inside, every woman carries one forbidden fantasy, a secret desire that would shock you if she ever confessed. And the reason she hides it is simple. If you knew, you'd never look at her the same way again. So listen carefully, because once you understand what I'm about to tell you, you'll never see her the same way again. 1. Her forbidden dream of losing control. Every woman you've ever met carries this fantasy tucked away in the dark corner of her mind. She never write it in her journal. She never eat over wine with her girlfriends. She'll never tell you, even if she trusts you with everything else. But it's there, burning, hidden, waiting. Her forbidden dream is the dream of losing control. On surface, she appears strong, independent, unstoppable. She runs companies, raises families, manages her life with precision. She'll tell you she doesn't need anyone, that she can handle herself, that she's got everything under, and she does. But here's the paradox no one talks about. In the privacy of her fantasies, that control doesn't excite her. It exhausts her. What her body craves is the opposite. She wants a man who makes her feel safe enough to surrender, to rope the act, to hand over the reins and, finally let go. She doesn't want a man who asks permission for every breath. She wants a man whose energy speaks before his words do. A man who carries calm authority, not dominance, but presence. Because deep down, she doesn't crave to be controlled. She craves the freedom that only comes when she feels safe enough not to control. That's why women are drawn to confidence, certainty, and quiet strength. Not arrogance, but a kind of still power. Because deep down her body longs to melt into that certainty, to feel the rush of being guided, wanted, consumed by a force she cannot resist. All day she's calculating, organizing, making decisions. Her mind is always on. But desire doesn't live in the mind. It lives in the body. And the body doesn't fantasize about to-do lists and it fantasizes about release. Release from control. Release from the constant need to be on top of everything. That's why in her hidden world of fantasy she imagines moments where she isn't the honest, moments where he doesn't ask, where she doesn't have to think about how she looks, what she's saying, or whether she's doing it right. Because in her forbidden dream, she's free to surrender to raw, unapologetic desire to feel something that doesn't need permission or planning. Only presence. And here's the twist, most men will never understand. The stronger and more independent a woman is, the more powerful this fantasy becomes. The boss, the CEO, the woman who seems to have it all under control. She's the one who secretly aches to let it all go. Higher the walls she builds in her daily life, the more intoxicating it feels to let them crumble in the arms of a man who knows what he's doing. But she'll never admit this because admitting it means becoming vulnerable. And vulnerability to her feels dangerous. She's afraid you'll judge her, afraid you'll see her as weak, afraid you'll use it against her. So, she hides it, plays the good woman in public while secretly longing for the opposite in private. And if you ever see that side of her, even by accident, you'll be shocked by how deep it runs. Because what you're seeing isn't just, it's the part of her that's been starved for years, the side that wants to feel safe enough to surrender. But why does this fantasy run so deep? Why does it show up again and again even in women who seem completely in control? To answer that, we need to look at the psychology behind it. Now, let's get why does this fantasy run so deep inside her? Why, no matter how powerful, successful, or self-reliant a woman becomes, does her mind still wander toward the same forbidden dream? The dream of surrender. It all comes down to one word: polarity. Masculine and feminine energy and opposites create, like fire and oxygen. One pushes, the other pulls. One leads, the other flows. And together they create a chemistry that can't be faked. Feminine G, at its core, wants to feel to flow, to surrender, to experience. It wants to be moved, not in a forced way, but in a way that feels inevitable. Masculine energy, on the other hand, wants to direct, to lead, to claim, and it's grounded, present, and it doesn't ask where it stands, it knows. When a man truly embodies that grounded certainty, the feminine instinct inside a woman it softens, it opens, it lets go. And that right there is the dance of polarity. The unspoken pull between two energies that were designed to complement, not compete. And here's the part most men miss completely. Her fantasy of losing control isn't about danger, it's about safety. Because a woman can only surrender when she feels safe. When she knows the man in front of her can handle her, not just her body, but her emotions, her intensity, her chaos. That's why men who whine, hesitate, or seek constant approval never get to see her real side. They inspire caution. She might be polite, even affectionate, but will always keep a piece of herself locked away from them. Because surrendering to a man who isn't steady feels like standing on thin ice. One wrong move and she falls through. But man who moves with quiet authority, who doesn't flinch, doesn't beg, doesn't seek permission, that man awakens something ancient inside her. Her body knows it before her mind does. It's primal. It's the deep exhale she's been holding her whole life. Picture this. You're at dinner. She's in full command. Confident, witty, glowing with charisma, she controls their room effortlessly. Everyone laughs when she speaks. She's queen of her world. But then you lean closer. Your voice drops just enough for only her to hear. You say calmly but firmly, "We're leaving in 5 minutes. You're coming with me." You didn't plead. You don't explain. You didn't apologize for your certainty. And in that moment, something changes. Outwardly, she might tease you, roll her eyes, smirk, maybe even pretend tape, but inside, her pulse quickens, because you've just taken her out of her head and put her back into her body. You've given her what she craves but can never ask for. The relief of not having to lead, of not having to think, of being guided by someone she can finally trust enough to let go. That's the secret most men never learn. When you carry true masculine energy, you don't have to convince her to. She wants to because your calm confidence signals something her body recognizes as safe. It's not control, it's containment. It's not dominance, it's direction. And in that container, her feminine essence finally relaxes. The walls drop. The armor softens, and the woman the world never sees. The raw, passionate, vulnerable side, and once you awaken that Sadiafer, she will never look at you the same way again because every other man will feel weaker by comparison. ILB, the one who touched the part of her thought no one else even knew existed. Theon who gave her what she didn't even know how to ask for. The ecstasy flows in control. So the next time you hear her talk about what she wants, romance, candlelight, Amen who listens, understand this. That is the safe version. The one she can say out loud. But the one that keeps her up at night. The one that sends a shiver down her spine just imagining it is the fantasy she never confess. The fantasy of surrender, of being seen, claimed, and desired so deeply that her mind finally stops and her body takes over. Here's the forbidden truth most men will never understand. Her fantasy of losing control isn't about weakness, it's about trust. It's not about buying, it's about being safe and auto-surrender completely. It's the ancient dance between the masculine and the feminine. The same dance that's been happening since the beginning of time. Because no matter how much the world changes, how much empowerment, independence, or freedom women gain, her biology still whispers the same truth. That underneath all the armor, underneath the independence and pride, she still yearns to feel safe enough to fall apart in the presence of a man who won't lose himself. A man who doesn't chase validation, who doesn't beg for attention, who doesn't flinch under, a man who leads not with control but with clarity. Not with words but with energy, not with fear, but with certainty. That's why women say they want a confident man. It's not confidence in looks, money, or status, it's the kind of inner stillness that Stoicism teaches. The man who can be surrounded by chaos and yet remain calm, who doesn't need to raise his voice to be heard, who doesn't need to prove his worth because he knows it in his bones. That's the energy that draws her in, that's the energy that makes her feel safe enough to let her walls drop. That's the energy that awakens her mastodon unspoken fantasy, the one she buries under layers of strength and when she feels that kind of presence, she stops thinking, she stops planning, she just feels, and that's when her feminine essence, the soft, wild, emotional side, comes alive like a fire that's been waiting for oxygen. But here's the tragedy, most men never reach this level. They're too polite, too cautious, too afraid of buying, they try so hard to bend. They forget that attraction doesn't grow in politeness. It grows in She doesn't want another man who worships her from a distance. She wants a man who can look her in the eyes without flinching. Who can match her strength and still make her feel safe enough to surrender hers. That's not, it's direction. It's certainty. It's not, it's presence. And presence is what the Stoics mastered. It's the quiet power of a man who knows himself, who doesn't react to every storm, but simply stands there unmoved. Because only a man who has mastered himself can awaken the effort of a woman that craves to lose herself. So when you think about her fantasies, remember it's not the candles, not the compliments, not the words. It's the feeling of being led by a man whose energy is steady, grounded, and unshakable. She wants to feel your presence, not your performance, your stillness, not your desperation, your certainty, not your control, because deep down her secret fantasy isn't about submission, it's about finding freedom through the freedom to stop blending for once, the freedom to feel something real, the freedom to be vulnerable and know you can handle it. And once she finds that with you, you'll never just be another man. You'll be the only man who ever truly saw her. So remember this, every woman carries this forbidden dream, but only a few men will ever waken it. She smiles sweetly, talk about romance, say she wants flowers and candlelight, but behind closed doors, in the shadows of her mind, she aches to lose control, to be claimed, to be wanted so deeply she can't resist. Most men will never see this side of her. They're too polite, too unsure, too afraid to lead. But you, if you can bestle when others panic, if you can lead when others hesitate, if you can make her feel safe in your certainty, you'll awaken the side of her that she hides from the world. You'll become the man she can't forget. The man who did not just touch her body, but touched her. So ask yourself, are you just another man or are you Theon who can awaken her forbidden dream? Because once you understand this truth, you'll stop chasing women and start attracting their deepest desire. If you want more raw, unfiltered insights into the psychology of attraction and human behavior, subscribe now to Dark Psychology. I'm Amelia, and this is where we expose truths people hide and the desires they're afraid to admit. Now tell me in the comments, do you think women would ever confess this fantasy if asked directly, or will it remain their silent secret forever?